What's going on, everyone? Good afternoon, and we have some pretty big news that have actually just came out over the weekend, yesterday. Of course, it was the talk between our vice president and Iran, which have failed, and we have seen crypto react very negatively at first to that news. Now, is there something bullish that have actually came out of this release of the news? I will get into that in just a second on why the market thinks this is actually bullish according to a key metric that I am seeing here that I have been keeping track with you guys on my channel, and how this could actually trigger a rebound in the markets sooner rather than later. So we're going to get a little bit into that. I'm going to share with you guys a few pieces of news that I am seeing that's circulating in the media today, and I'll give you guys my instant reaction to what I think about those headlines and how I am seeing the markets in the near-term future, as well as how I am positioning myself for the markets and for the likely scenario that we're gonna be seeing a rebound in the remainder of this year. So let's go ahead and take a look into the first piece of news here, which is by Market Watch. This is titled, "Trump Announces Blockade of Strait of Hormuz as Vance Leaves Pakistan Talks with No Deal, and How Financial Markets Are Reacting." So I am doing this right now on Sunday afternoon as the market opened, and the last time I checked, gold was actually down right below $4,700, which it's definitely a negative reaction coming from gold. And the stock market, S&P 500 specifically, is actually flat. I think it was down like negative 0.1%. Bitcoin and a lot of crypto is down. So I think the markets are actually digesting this news. And of course it sounds bearish at first, because that was basically that could have been the immediate resolution if the talks actually yielded a positive results, basically resolving things in our favor, but it did not. So the markets are digesting that right now. But the key metric that I am seeing is the CME Watch tool, which if you actually take a look into the CME Watch tool right now, which is going to be for the July FOMC meeting, the odds of a rate cut have actually significantly jumped from almost 0% down up to about 33%, which is a major jump, even though it still means that we're not going to be seeing a rate cut probably, but that's still a major jump from where we have been yesterday. So why are the markets seeing that? I think a potential explanation is this blockade could actually expedite a resolution in the Middle East area, because I think some of the ships that could be kept out from this blockade could include ships that have been paying tolls to cross the strait, potentially Chinese ships, and that could, blockading Chinese ships from entering the Iranian Strait, the strait here, could put more pressure on Iran, either on their income from selling oil, as well as potentially China itself putting pressure on Iran, and this could expedite the resolution of at least the choke point here that we're seeing with the Strait of Hormuz, which means that we're going to see a potential relief from the oil prices that we're seeing right now, which has been the main factor on why the Federal Reserve is not cutting rates for June. Alright, let's go ahead and go to the next piece of news here, which is by News BTC. And it is titled, Bitcoin poised for bullish breakout, but only if this condition is met. Now, my reaction is, Bitcoin does have a technical reversal pattern that is likelier to break out to the upside, but I think it is lacking a trigger, and the trigger is going to be the expectation that the Federal Reserve is going to be cutting rates soon, because that means there's going to be cheaper money into the markets, and risk on assets like crypto would thrive off cheaper money, like we have seen back in the 2010s, even 2020, 2021. Now, if you guys are new to trading or investing, make sure to continue watching this channel, because you will learn the charts as well as the macro indicators and stack the odds in your favor. I was just in your shoes 7 years ago, and I plan to be here for many years more. So that is what I think the reversal is lacking. It's a macro trigger. And of course, Bitcoin being the driver of this crypto markets, a lot of other altcoins are going to be following if we see this reversal with Bitcoin. Now, Bitcoin has hit a resistance, however, that I've been talking about with you guys, which is the falling wedge on the 3-day time frame. It has hit that top trend line, and that is also why we're seeing that pullback that we're seeing right now. But I do think that the downside is limited because of the amount of reversal signals, like bullish divergence scenarios, that are pretty apparent on the daily time frame up to the weekly time frame. And that means it is likelier to bounce as it approaches some of these short-term lows, and altcoins could actually bounce at those levels as well with Bitcoin. I am seeing quite a bit of altcoins, a few altcoins, there are exceptions, that have been just getting ahead of Bitcoin. Now that's possible too, but I think if Bitcoin continues to drop, then that may not be good for some of these altcoins. And I do still think that there's going to be quite a bit of strong support levels between 55,000 to 60,000. So if nothing crazy happens, I don't think the Bitcoin bears are going to be breaching those levels. Now, everything I'm saying here is just purely my speculations and opinions, of course. Still do your own due diligence, and we're all just talking about probabilities here, so nothing in this market is 100%. So always keep in mind of the downside scenarios. Alright, so the next piece of news I want to share with you guys is by Cointelegraph. And this one is titled, Strategies Michael Saylor Signals Impending Bitcoin Purchase. And this is coming from a quote where he says, quote unquote, think bigger, as Saylor said on Sunday while sharing the charts of Strategies Bitcoin purchase history that has become synonymous with imminent Bitcoin acquisitions. So I think what the article is saying is that every time he has shown this charts, and now he's saying think bigger, quote unquote, it has been basically in line with past purchases. I'm not surprised that some of these bulls, including Michael Saylor, are still believers of Bitcoin, because I think chances of Bitcoin going to zero is almost zero. Because I've seen news headlines like these back in 2022 at the height of the last bear market. Before you know it, Bitcoin reversed and went all the way up to 125,000. So I'm not really fazed by some of by bearish headlines. I'm actually positioning myself for more of a long position, scaling into long positions for the crypto markets as I see some of these signals play out, and I will continue to share that with you guys on my channel. Next piece of news, which is going to be the last piece of news here, is by Bloomberg. and it says, wary investors eye another escalation in Iran war. And yes, I think the market is still digesting the the result of that failed talk that we have heard about yesterday. But I think what's really important to be paying attention to is the CME watch tool, because interest rates are going to make the big difference. That has made the difference in the past previous bull cycles, where when we saw a lower federal funds rate back in 2010 up to 2021, the bull markets were just a lot more wild than when we were in 2024, 2025, when the federal funds rate was a lot higher. So I think this is the key difference here, and that I will be paying attention to. Because I've seen others discuss the M2 money supply. I haven't really done too much research into that, and I will be. But, they continue to print money, but that has not really driven a very bullish bull cycle from 2024 to 2025. But the key difference was the interest rates. So that is why I'm gonna continue to hammer home the CME watch tool and the next likely interest rate decision coming out of the FOMC and what is going to be driving those decisions. Alright, this basically wraps up for today's video. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll continue to see you guys next time.